Good morning. Welcome to Vlogmas Day 3. I have my tea and I have my knitting, and I'm going to sit and knit for a little while. I'll show you this again in better light, but I finished the first section on my cowl and I'm just about to wind up Day 2's yarn and add that to it. I've been up for a couple of hours now. I've had my first cup of tea and I've been knitting on my Advent cowl. I woke up about an hour earlier than usual, so that gave me an extra hour of knitting time. So last night I did the first section on my cowl. See the eyelets there. And this morning I wound up Day 2's yarn and added that in. So I have kept my yarn balls attached. I just want to make sure I'm really committed to this project before I break the yarn. But so far I think it's coming along nicely, and I'm happy with the fabric that the 4mm needles are producing. So unfortunately, the sparkles don't really show up in this light at the moment. I'm sitting where Cameron usually sits because it's closer to the window. I thought I would have better lighting over here. So let's open Day 3's yarn, and then I better get dressed and get on with my day. Today's yarn, the colorway is called Aurora, so I'm guessing maybe lots of different colors in it, but how do I know? Let's find out. Okay. Ooh, not what I expected at all. But those colors definitely are reflective, no pun intended, of the Northern Lights. So, ooh, that's going to be a fun one to knit up. Love that punch of green. Okay, can't do it now. Time to put it away. And I'm going to head out for a walk before too much of the day goes by. It was quite frosty when I got up this morning, but the frost has disappeared and so has most of the water out of the yard. So I'm just going to go take a look at the shed before I head out for my walk. See, those birds are at the feeder. I hate to disturb them. And the hummingbird's just flown up in that tree. I don't know if you'll get a look. It's right there on the, about halfway down on the left-hand side. Let's see, there it goes, up to the feeder at the deck. So, some birds at the feeder. But yeah, I'm gonna go check out this shed. So you can see, let's bring this in a bit. You can see the water's pretty well gone. It's just a little bit about back along the tree line here. You can feel the ground. It's kind of squishy. Yeah, that's all the water that's left now. So not so bad, but yeah, squishy underfoot. You can see the line on the shed from the water. I'd guesstimate that at about 1, 2, probably about 3 inches. So definitely not as bad as last time, but okay. So you can see the floors somewhat wet still, but not bad at all. Well, that's good. This is the sad part. You get these worms that were caught inside. This one's still alive. So is this one. There. Feel better. I've rescued a few worms today. I see one more. I won't bore you with that. It is about 12:30 and I've just gotten around to having a shower and getting dressed for the day. My walk was a little bit delayed because I ended up talking to the neighbor for a little while. And it was cold out there. It took me all walk just to get warmed up again. And then since I got back, I've had some breakfast and kind of been puttering. But I thought I would sit down now. It's time to choose my socks for the day. And Flora asked me if I could show you all the socks in my container. So I probably won't remember all of the names of the colorways and the patterns. If I have time and if I can find them, I'll put them at the bottom of the screen. Some of these aren't specifically Christmas socks. Some are wintry socks or winter socks. And some I've just designated as such. Like this pair, this is out of a Socks That Rock colorway. I don't remember what it was called. Oh, hang on, do I remember? It's right back there somewhere. Anyway, I knit these 1 year as part of a year-long knit along, and the pattern is I think My Cup of Tea, and I called them my New Year's Cup of Tea socks. So these have become holiday socks both because of the colors and just because of when I knit them. Had something to do with alchemy, the colorway, I think. This is an Arna and Carlos Regia sock yarn, and I don't remember the pattern. Very helpful, aren't I? This is another one that is not a Christmas color or pattern, but I thought they looked quite Christmassy. And this is a stitch pattern that I got off of Kelly, who used to do the Knit Picks podcast, and she had talked about this stitch pattern to help kind of distribute colors in hand painted yarns, and it does work beautifully, but I don't remember exactly what I did there. I have to look them over. I know it involves some slip stitching. That's a Fleece Artist yarn. I love these socks. These are a Biscotte et Compagnie yarn, and this is called Mon Pays c'est l'hiver, and that is French for my country. It is winter. It's by a poem / song by Villeneuve is his last name. I want to say Jacques, but I think it's Jean Villeneuve. Anyway, very well-known Quebec artist and singer-songwriter, and I just love these. The yarn is a little bit deeper red than it's showing up on camera. That might be a good choice for today. Match my shirt. And yes, I do often try and match my socks to what I'm wearing, even if nobody but me sees them. This is a winter colorway from Fiber Nymph Dye Works. If I remember correctly, I think this was the December 25th skein from, if it wasn't last year, it was the year before that. This one is another Fiber Nymphs. The elves were in the eggnog. Always loved this colorway. Finally got my hands on some a couple of years ago. This is a West Yorkshire Spinners Christmas colorway. I think it's candy cane. I think all of these are in my Ravelry projects. I am probably not going to take the time to do show notes. I tend not to do show notes for Vlogmas because it is kind of time consuming. I post them 3 different places and so it takes quite a while. Oh, better turn down my volume again because my notifications are popping up. This, I believe, was last year's December 25th or day 25 skein, and I don't think I've worn these yet. Pretty sure that's what this was. So yeah, maybe I'm gonna have to, well, I'm gonna have to wear them pretty soon anyway, if not today. You'll see a theme, another Fiber Nymphs dye work yarn. This was a sock blank. It was the Whoville one. I'm sure there's an actual colorway name, but it was inspired by the colors from Whoville from The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. So, and for any of you who haven't worked with sock blanks, when you start knitting with them, they can look all crinkly and weird, but you can see after washing, blocking, it just looks like knitting. And I do know that I wound off the skein and I knit from one end for one sock and one for the other so that they would sort of match. This was a cozy knitter skein. I got it Knit City. I guess it'd be 3 years ago, I think. That's her this Christmas one for that. So that would have been probably 2019. Another Fiber Nymph Dye Works sock blank. I can't remember what it was called. Something like Christmas Baubles. So that one's a fun one. And it's sparkly too. Don't know if you can tell. The light is not great today for showing off the sparkles. I think you can see a little bit maybe there. And finally, another Fiber Nymph Dye Works one. This is her Christmas pie. And when she does her pie socks, it's that she starts with the, she goes with the numbers of pi. So 3.14, I believe it is. So the first stripe is 3, so it is 3 times as long as the one stripe. And so, and it's never repeated, the colorways. So that would be like 3, 1, 4, probably 1 again. I think that's where it started. Yeah, that makes sense. And it really threw me for a loop because if the number is 0, she skips the color for that stripe. So I remember knitting away and thinking there was an error, that's a weird way to say it, error. And then realizing, oh, that's why there's no color there. So they will never match because pi does not repeat. All right, so, well, I think I should wear these because I haven't worn them yet. So this will be their inaugural run. Aren't they pretty? So yeah, if I have time and think of it, I'll put a little more information at the bottom of the screen as I go through these so that they'll be easy to find on my project page in case you're interested. So I have a few things I want to get done today. The number one priority is to warp up my loom so that when Cameron gets home from work, he can hold the one end and tension it while I wind the warp onto my loom in preparation for knitting. So I have already cleared off the kitchen table, pulled all the chairs out from it, got my little bookcase in place to attach my loom to, and that's what I'm going to do right now is warp my loom. I also would really like to do a bit of vacuuming and clean the bathrooms. Okay, I wouldn't like to do those things, but they really need to be done. And also, I would really like to, and I really need to knit on my daughter-in-law Stephanie's birthday scarf. So somewhere in there, I've got to fit in lunch. So I am going to go get things ready for warping. And if I can get the camera up at a good angle, you can watch me do it. Okay, I am kneeling down here in front of the computer. I thought before I warped my loom, I would show you what yarns I'm going to use for my sister's scarf. So she said she has 2 winter coats, one's black and one's red. So I am using this black ultra alpaca fine from Barocco. That's going to be my warp. And then I have this deep, deep, deep stash from Knit Picks. That is their imagination yarn. It's called 7 Dwarfs. And it is a blend of 50% superwash merino wool, 25% superfine alpaca, and 25% nylon. And the ultra alpaca is 50 Peruvian wool, 20 superfine alpaca, and 30% nylon. So I thought it would be a good blend and should be quite kind of fuzzy and drapey when it's done. So I have 2 skeins of this, 1 big one of this. So I'm gonna tie this on to the loom and get it going. So you can see there's the loom and there's the warping peg. Help me. There. There's the warping peg at the end of my table. And so I am going to be going back and forth, and threading the loom through the heddle there, or threading the yarn through the heddle there. So I was wondering, I wonder how many steps that will take. And so I'm going to look at my Fitbit. I have 8,171, so let's see how many steps I get warping my loom today. Halfway. There, done. And yes, my back hurts. How many steps? I now have 83:43. So I'll do the math and put it on the screen. There, that's done. I realized I've made a couple of mistakes while I was warping it, like putting 2 threads through 1 slot, but I can fix that when I tie on the other end after it's all wound up. So that's no problem. It'll just be a little bit more work when I go to do the final step. My sisters and I are texting back and forth. My one sister went down to her trailer in the US today for the first time in about 2 years. They weren't quite sure what they would find, but she said inside was just fine, no mildew or anything, and they just needed to do some cleanup outside. So that's good news. So I'm just gonna just made myself a cup of tea. It's just steeping, and I'm going to wind up my weft. So to put it onto a shuttle here, and you would think, how is all of that ever going to fit on this? But it does. You do this kind of figure eight motion, and instead of it all ending up in the middle, it kind of goes on the side. So you kind of twist it like a figure eight. Go behind, go in, no. Showing you and doing it are two different things. Actually, what I want to do before that anyway is make sure I'm getting my yarn coming from the same direction so that when I weave, my two, see, I know I'm going to have to go from the, let's see, no, I'll be good. Both coming from the same direction, good. Because even though I'm going to have a join in the middle, I want to make sure that when it's all woven up, that there's no break in the way the colors are. So yeah, so you just put it on and then you come around, and instead of going back here, you bring it around this side, and then you bring it up here, flip it around, so you're always kind of making a figure eight, and you do that for a while. And then you flip your shuttle around and you start doing it on the other side, and you just work your way back and forth so that it's all kind of evenly distributed. Even though this looks kind of tedious, it's actually, I don't mind doing it. It's kind of relaxing. You get a chance to play with the yarn before you actually start weaving. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Sitting there, there's my tea ready. So I'm going to do that. First I got to switch over the laundry though. We weren't able to do laundry for a few days. They were asking people to conserve water and not do things like laundry that would overburden this sewer system. So we did start it last night. We usually do it Monday, so I've got like a week and a half's worth of laundry to do, but we're getting there. And we didn't run out of clothes, so we were okay. Done. That took a lot longer than I expected. I realized that most of my projects so far have been DK or worsted weight. It takes a lot longer to wind 100 grams of fingering weight yarn. Let's see, I've got my light here. Maybe that'll help show off the colors better. It's going to be pretty, I think. But I also realize it's going to take me longer to weave than I was anticipating. Good thing it's only December 3rd. So I think it's time to go have, sorry, just seeing if that helped for color. Oh, there you go. There you go. Isn't that pretty? Anyway, I think it's time to go have some lunch, and then I got to do some housework. Before I wind things up for today, and yes, pun intended, I've done a lot of winding today, I thought I would leave you with something good. My something good for day 3 is poinsettias. They are really, really lovely to have around at this time of year. I picked this one up last week at the grocery store and I really love this pot. It reminds me of the mountains that I am fortunate enough to get to see every single day. What's not so good is the flickering going on. Not sure how to fix it. I'm not going to worry about it. Also not so good, my dirty dishes sitting there for you to see, but it's real life. Cameron should be home very soon. It is appy night today, or tonight, I should say. That's what we do on Fridays. We drink wine and have appetizers for dinner. So looking forward to that as always. I hope you had a good December 3rd, and I will see you again tomorrow for Vlogmas Day 4. Good night.